What's good, YouTube? I'm jumping right in. The so called high value man loves this manipulation tactic. They perform it on a lot of women who are trying to figure out how to be in serious relationships with them. They really don't want serious relationships, but they want maximum effort from a woman and maximum usability, maximum utilization, right? Maximum control and power and dominion over her. They do this trick. And it generally works because women don't see it coming. Let's be real. Most people are not photogenic, and undoctored pictures almost never do anyone justice. I've had about 300 clients tell me that somebody either looked better in person based on their pictures and that their pictures didn't do them justice, or they looked way more raggedy than they expected them to look based on the profile pictures. A lot of people wish that they could have spoken to a person on a video or heard their voice before swiping in the wrong direction. People often complain about how much time was wasted misjudging attraction based on pictures and weak ass inbox messages alone. Hell, at the very least, I know many of you are tired of trading dried up pleasantries until you both grow too bored to respond to one another. Matter of fact, put a 1 in the comment section if you've ever thought to yourself, I have shit to do, and just block somebody for wasting your time. And I know I can't be the only person who showed up to a date after looking at some attractive pictures and thought, damn, they got me. I was mistaken. Hell, I've been catfished 3 times, so I know how rough it can be. For years as a life and dating coach, I've suggested that my clients do preliminary video dates before they meet people in person. They find it awkward to set up or ask for, so they usually don't do it out of anxiety. But on our app, it's the only way to connect to somebody after you match with them or like them. There's no need to be nervous or anxious. It's not awkward. It's just the way things are, which protects you from getting catfished or placing yourself in danger to meet a stranger you've never seen or spoken to. It facilitates real people having real conversations to see if there's a real connection. Instead of an inbox full of emojis and acronyms, you check your likes and your video messages. Have an instant speed date when you like someone instead of passing messages back and forth for a week. How much simpler would it be to weed out the unserious and measure real intellectual compatibility? You can also easily screenshot inappropriate behavior and get predators banned for life. Our app has the power to change dating culture for the better and bring back the humanity and the respect to dating apps. We want to really get people talking again instead of just carelessly swiping away at people as if they were only pictures. Try our app today and help us restore the dignity back to dating online. Okay, so a lot of times if a man has some leverage, if he has some money, if he has some status, if he's very popular, if he's the guy that the women want and he knows it, he's the man with options that we always hear about. He'll try to make his dating life as efficient as possible by only having the most convenient experience. Many men are now being taught this by pickup artists. Many men are just naturally very good at manipulating people. Many men have learned it from others who are trying to mimic so called high value men or men who have options. But don't be fooled. This red flag, this manipulation tactic, is just a user who's not serious trying to figure out how to get his way or have his way with you. With that said, the red flag or the tactic that these men are using, especially the so called high value men or the men who are mimicking them because they're watching YouTube trying to become them, but they don't have the finances, so they have the tactics. That's all they have. They might have 3 cents in their pocket, but if they're nice looking and they have the tactics, they can mimic high value men long enough to get what they need from you and move on. Anyway, that thing is, give a woman a lot of time, a lot of attention, a lot of energy until you go on a date with her, until you make out with her, and then she stops you. And if she stops you from having sex with her, if she tells you no for anything that you've asked of her, you need to pull back immediately. So she sees the like it's an observable pullback, right? She sees the switch. She sees the light dim. And in that, she'll be concerned, she'll be confused, and it'll trigger her to feel something. That usually is urgency. So she'll ask you, hey, did I do something? Did I offend you? Did something change? Do you still feel the same way? Right? She'll go through that and she'll need that validation that everything is still okay, but you won't give her that. What you will do is tell her, no, everything's not okay. Yes, I'm offended. Yes, I'm bothered. Yes, I have a problem. I'm not seeing your best. I'm not getting any effort from you. So you basically just tell a woman, I don't feel like I'm getting 100% from you. I don't think that you like me. You don't act like you care. I feel like I'm giving more in this relationship than you are. I feel like I'm trying harder than you, right? You place this burden on her shoulders to match the effort that you are not giving, but you've told her you're giving, right? Uh, that way, she stops saying no as much. She stops resisting. She stops worrying so much about her needs and her safety, right? And her discernment. And she starts focusing on how to prove herself worthy of you, right? This is what men are teaching other guys, right? This is what the manosphere and the red pill community is teaching these guys. These so-called dating coaches are showing men how to manipulate people using pretty standard psychology. A person focused on their needs and what's safe for them can be thrown off and confused by something like that, right? A woman who knew what she wanted and knew who she was and knew what she was and wasn't willing to do for a date, for a man's attention, for love, for partnership, now has to figure out how to be worthy of this man. That loss of focus is a lapse in judgment waiting to happen, and men know this. That's why they teach them this. I don't feel like you're in it as much as I am. I don't feel like you're trying as hard as I am to connect, is usually a faux complaint. Now, to a degree, you know if you're bullshitting, you know if you're wasting a person's time. And I would suggest to all women, whoever I might coach, don't waste a man's time. Don't play with a guy just because you think you're a woman with options, right? Don't play with a guy because you've been played and then punish the new guy for what you should have done to the old guy, or what you should not have put up with from an old guy, right? Don't do that. Don't waste anybody's time. Men and women should respect each other upon trying to figure out what partnership might look like for them. So this video isn't to tell you you're better, you're the prize, you're the one that's important and nobody else matters. This video is to just remind you that there are people out here who are doing things intentionally to confuse you, to leverage your confusion. I'm no holy roly, but the Bible says Satan is the author of confusion. And so be very careful not to be manipulated by somebody trying to use you. Once they find you rejecting them or telling them no, they find a side door to whatever they wanted. And that's usually to confuse you and make themselves the victim before you could say, hey, this is my boundary, respect it. They do this because they know women are going to do everything in their power to bridge the gap. They're going to do everything in their power to rebuild the potential that they felt. Think about it. You've been on a couple of good dates with someone. You might have had a couple of really good conversations. You've been text messaging. You've been in your imagination playing things out, right? You might have even been horny a couple of times. That person has become your vision of a relationship. That person has become your vision of partnership. So when they pull back, you obviously feel like you lost something that wasn't even really established, right? But when they tell you, yes, you have lost me and it's your fault, all those emotions that you were starting to feel, now you have to salvage because no one wants to feel that loss, that neglect, that abandonment. Women trying to restore that confidence in the relationship and receive that validation that they were given before usually start to do whatever that man suggests to prove herself. Most of the time, that's sexual stuff. If she's a woman with money or finances or resources that can up that man's level or give him some status change, then she offers those things. She leverages whatever he was requesting in the first place that she told him no for. So be very careful. After you tell a man no, the first thing you want to do is start to take note of how his behavior changes and if he decides to play victim in order to convince you that you need to offer that thing up on a silver platter without him asking for it again. And again, this isn't about all men being dogs, or there are manipulators out here, right? And so when I'm talking about this stuff, I'm talking about manipulators. I'm talking about men and people in general who are doing unscrupulous, nefarious shit to other people. Okay, so this isn't about how all men are anything. This is about how manipulators manipulate. So apply it to them specifically. You wouldn't believe how many clients I've heard say, I just thought he didn't like me anymore, so I gave it to him. I wanted him to like me again. We were so close to a relationship, or at least I thought we were. I thought maybe if I did that, he would come back around, but he didn't. It never changes. Leveraging yourself beyond whatever boundary you stated before he pulled away never changes the pull away, because he wasn't there to stay anyway. That's why he pulled away. Women do this too. Y'all know y'all do this. When you go dig a man and he tells you no, you pull away. You all of a sudden have some other prospects. You all of a sudden are too busy. You all of a sudden are abstinent. People do this in general. So let's not play. Let's not act like this is just men being terrible. This is manipulators doing what manipulators do. The problem is there are a lot of people training on the internet to manipulate. whether you're a sprinkle or you're a red pill man. I got to be honest here. A lot of men are just showing up to dates with dick and then trying to tell you that they don't feel like they're getting all you have to offer. They're not getting any effort. They're the only ones trying and they've not done anything. I've heard men who didn't even take women on dates before, who've never even been on the phone with these women, who only text them up to the point that they're at their front door, tell a woman, I don't feel like I'm getting any effort from you. I'm giving 100%. And they've literally given maybe 3 text messages, mostly emojis, showed up with dick in hand, ready to try to have sex with this woman. Don't allow yourself to be gaslit into passing and crossing your own barriers and betraying your own boundaries, because that's what it becomes. Manipulators want to put you in a position where you kiss their ass to keep them around. This is basic manipulation, but it's packaged differently. Every so often, a new tactic comes up, or a new way, or a new methodology gets popular again. It's all old stuff. Nothing's new under the sun. It's all old crap, but it might be new to you, and that's what they're hoping for. This idea that you're wasting a man's time if you don't do anything for him, or you don't have sex with him, or you tell him no, or you have a standard or boundary that he's not earned access to beyond that barrier, all of a sudden you're wasting his time. He's a high value man. He doesn't have to put up with this. Get far away from those people. Get far away from people who remind you of their options, remind you of their perceived value, right? Remind you of how important they are as compared to you, and minimize how important you should be to yourself first and foremost. Because his time is valuable. He has options. Other women want him. He doesn't have to put up with this from women. Put up with what? What? No self-respect, self-love, consideration, equality. What don't you have to put up with? This is manipulation. This is gaslighting. A lot of y'all are sleeping with the enemy. Just avoid that. And again, everybody is coming into this situation and coming to my channel specifically at a different place, right? Some people haven't experienced this. Some people have been in better relationships. Some people are widowed. Some people have been married for years. They just don't have the practice that others of y'all do. So if this message isn't for you, share it with someone who can be helped by it. Anyway, that's all I got for now. Follow me at Carefake24 on Instagram. I'll get with y'all later.